This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school in the entire planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about, is everyone going through a quarter-life crisis?
But before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons on this new channel to help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Please and thank you. I would like that very much.
Find the like button, hit the like button, find the red subscribe button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this new channel where we will be sharing our thoughts for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Also, I wanted to say hello, shout out to the person who said hello to us at the Founders today in Prescott. It was nice meeting you. I hope your lady likes our candid behind the scenes picture of what we look like behind the camera. I hope I didn't offend you by saying that it must be so much worse in San Francisco than LA
Or the Bay.
But
Vincent's a people pleaser, and he overthinks every interaction.
I overthink everything.
And he thinks he offends everyone.
I think I offend everyone.
When in actuality, I'm the one who offends everyone by not just existing.
I don't mind that you offend people. I mind when I offend people by accident.
I was in my Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne makeup-less face, and usually no one recognizes me.
Yeah, and we were in the Founders Coffee here in Prescott, Arizona. We think the best coffee in town. Like, seriously. Just, so delicious. We just rolled out of bed. We literally just rolled out of bed. And we went there, and we were spotted. I assume by our voices, or, I mean, who else are you going to see who's a Chinese and a brown, in Prescott?
Questionable brown.
Yeah, questionable brown. You don't know what quite brown, but some kind of brown. Okay, today we are going on a grand adventure. You know what kind of adventure we're going on?
What?
We're going on an adventure of Vincent's hypochondriac behavior.
But it fits with the zeitgeist in the moment. I've noticed on TikTok a lot of people are having their quarter-life crisis, so we want to talk about it.
So I am a hypochondriac. One of the first instances of this was when we first started dating, and I think we were watching anime, and I was feeling my back, and I felt like there were like these bumps on my back, and I was like, oh, this is it. It's over for me. And I told you I love you, and I love my time with you. And then I kept doing that to the point you were like, what's wrong?
You kept saying, I'm going to die soon. I'm like, why do you keep saying that?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, because I just feel like every single little time, every single time I feel something, anything unusual that I don't understand the source of where it comes from, I immediately just jump to the worst possible situation. worst possible whatever. Yes. Inevitability. And then I remember telling one of my coworkers that like I really live by Murphy's Law. Like whatever bad things can happen will happen. And then I remember her saying like, it seems like a really sad life to live. And then like I wanted to say, yeah, I know, I don't want to live this way, but it is simply just the way I behave, and it's probably a character flaw. I don't know, but I had one of these things again, these episodes, and I promise this will get to the point eventually.
But like, okay, you said I'm going to die soon for like the 100th time, and I finally was like, why are you saying that? And then you're like, I've been keeping this from you, but I have these like lumps in my back. And I was like, what are you talking about? So you show me, and I like feel them. I'm like, those are called knots.
And then I was like, oh, those are knots?
And that's why people get massages.
Oh.
You're not going to die.
I'm like 22 years old. I'm like 22 years of my life thinking like these sores on my back were some sort of awful thing.
And then you were so relieved, and you hug me. You're like, I'm not going to die.
Just like after every month, I'm like, I'm not a father. And then I remember So what happened this time was when Janet got sick, I made sure not to like mess with her. She's in her bedroom. I'm here playing GTA. And every morning you were like sick for about a week. I had to like sleep here. I had to sleep on this couch, and this window fucking sucks. Like 4:00 in the morning, like there's a draft that comes in and it's so cold. But the cats like sleep on me, so it helps. But in the morning, because like I would wake up early in the morning and you'd be still sleeping, trying to rest, I like immediately go to Barry's Pie Pantry here in Arizona, in Prescott. I love diners.
Yes. Your favorite diner was Denny's for the longest time.
I know.
And I thought that was upsetting.
And then I got really into independent diners, like mom and pop diners.
Yes.
So I was, even in Los Angeles when we used to live there, I was really addicted to finding like, ooh, this spot is like where you get your omelets. This spot's where you get your coffee. I love Barry's Pantry here in Prescott, Arizona. There, I think like, so you go to Prescott for like if you want to find a novelty thing that they do here really, really well, it's this thing called the skinny pancakes, right? So Cuppers here, Whiskey Row has one. The local here has one. But my favorite, so scrumptious is Barry's Pie Pantry. And I would go to Barry's Pie Pantry. I would order the corned beef hash and eggs with always a pie after, whatever random pie. And then I would like write, I would sketch. It was like so nice. I was like living my like retirement vacation life. And then whenever the attendant lady would be like, would you like a cup of coffee? I go like, sure. So the lady gives me like, and like I swear, like at least by the time I leave, I'm drinking like 5 cups of coffee. And like I go to Barry's every day. Every day while Janet's sick, because there's no Janet to keep. There is no wife doing that to tell me you should cool it with. Maybe don't do that. So every morning for I think 5 days straight. This was right before work. It really gets me like, woo, to start working, you know.
But also, you got really addicted to Jeremy's coffee.
I did get it. So this is the fucking like my drug routine, okay? So like 5 cups of Barry's coffee, which is pretty delicious. Like it's fine diner coffee, it's pretty great. But you know, the skinny pancakes, the bomb. But like the other part is I would eat lunch, or sometimes I would eat lunch if I weren't too full. But like I know I would get sluggish. You know, a lot of people, you guys work, right? You get a little bit sluggish in the afternoon, like maybe sometime between 1, 2, 3. Somewhere around there. So I get a little sluggish during that time, and you know what I do? I get some coffee brand coffee, discount code below. And you know what I do? I brew I basically take a thing like I don't know. I basically brew 1.5 cups of coffee, and then I drink more coffee, and then it gets me through the day. And I'm like, this is really awesome. Because you're not telling me to stop because you're sick, and I'm like every day I'm like fucking like killing it at work. I'm like, this is awesome. And then Janet got better, and then like I kept doing this, and then I started noticing something really scary. My heart started to like beat funny, and it would like it wouldn't be like a pain, but it would be like someone squeezing it. It felt like every other breath somebody was like squeezing my heart a little bit. And that was really like, whoa, 31 years old, that's never happened before. Like, and I swear to back in the day at school, I hear this would happen to people. God, there's certain people I know on the top of my head who would like abuse monsters and 5-hour energies, and who knows how that affected their long-term health. But like for the 1.5 week spree of like drinking coffee, I was like, but the problem was I didn't know what was doing this. Right. I'm an idiot. So instead of going like thinking of like what went wrong here, why is my heart acting funny, and going like, what are the things I'm putting in my body that affect my heart? I don't know, maybe like the corned beef, maybe the coffee. Instead of thinking that, I go immediately to I think this is it for me. I think this is the end of the line again for me. And then lately you've been going through these spells where it's like hard for you to sleep. for some strange reason.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm like tossing and turning, going like, it's over for me. And then thinking about the process of dying and thinking about how like, what is that like? And thinking about like, is it painful? And then thinking about just all of those things. And then eventually it came to a point where I think we left from somewhere, or we came back home from something. And I told you, Janet, I think something's wrong. You remember that?
Yes. It happens every once in a while, like the knots in your back, you know. Something's wrong with me. I think I'm dying.
I think there's something wrong with me. And I tell you, like, there's something wrong with my knocker.
Yeah. And then, especially because I've had my own problems.
Yeah, and I wanted to know, because you had problems like that too, and I described it to you, and you were like, oh, I think I felt something similar.
Yeah, and then I explained to you, and then we eventually figure out, like, what I had was kind of different from what you have. And then I was like, I think it's stress, because that's what it was for me. And then I don't know how we came to the conclusion it was the coffee.
I don't know. I don't know.
I was like, well, okay, for me, it's like I wasn't sleeping well. I was stressed out. And then I think I realized, I was like, wait a second. How much coffee have you been drinking?
And then I think I went, oh. And lo and behold, you know what I fucking did? I drank like 10 bottles of water. And every time I took a wee, like it started to lessen the squeezing. And then I was like, oh shit, I gotta be careful with this shit. I gotta be careful with this coffee shit, man. Everything in moderation. The problem here is, like, I'm from Los Angeles.
Yes.
Heaven help you to find like a good cup of coffee in Los Angeles. But when you go to a place like Prescott, it's like it's the same thing with beer. When I got here, like I just kept drinking beer because I've never had
just so good
beer before.
Yeah.
So there's great coffee, there's great beer here, and I'm like, for the first month I was like constantly drinking beer. Yeah. But like, you know, the effects of that are very obvious. Like you get bloated and you feel sluggish and like, okay, I gotta cool it with the beer. But then I didn't know what the limit was for coffee because like even at Art Center when I was drinking, like lo and behold, I was drinking truthfully, like I love the Orange Monster. It was one of my favorite flavors of Monster. I don't think they make it anymore. I'm not sure. But I didn't feel anything like that. So that's why I didn't really jump to like, oh, it must be caffeine. But like me being the crazy, like it's always the worst, like Murphy's Law, like it's always the worst thing. I immediately went to like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. But then like when you were experiencing that, thinking that you're gonna die, you were like, you had like a new quarter life crisis. You were experiencing like, oh no.
I wept a lot.
Yeah.
Because you would tell me all the time, and this is something I don't really, it wasn't in my purview before. I don't know why it shouldn't have been. It should have been, but it's just like, I guess I was too into my what I was worried about with death, which is the process of death, and like, what is it like to die, and what is it painful, and then like, have I done all the things I wanted to do, and all the you know, the dumb basic mortal things people worried about,
the exact moment of death. That's what you were scared of.
And then I wept this time because you would always talk about what are the consequences of my death, especially you being my partner, and you would always say all the time that like, odds are you're gonna outlive me.
Yes.
You know,
I mean,
Filipinos are, the heart's not so good.
Yeah.
The blood pressure's not so good.
And like Chinese, we live forever.
Yeah.
And especially my family, we live forever. So like, I'm pretty sure my grandparents are reaching their 90s to the 100s at this point, and I'm like, still doing stuff, still like functioning. Not Joe Biden. Not Joe Biden.
Yeah. Very healthy in the mind, very lucid.
Yeah.
Very not like what's his face who's fighting Dr. Oz?
Fetterman.
Did you see him? He was like, his opening words, he was like, good night, everybody.
Oh God.
That was his opening statement.
Oh no.
Sorry. Let's deviate from politics. Shit's getting hilarious, though. Shit's getting so funny in the political realm. Oh, my God.
I have no idea how long you're going to live, but I'm going to have at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Without you.
At least. And then I remember, like, crying, saying, like, I don't want to leave you alone like that. And I don't want you to be alone like that. And I want to try really hard to live as long as I can, because I want us to be together for as long as we can. And like lately I've been thinking a lot about like what matters most to my life, especially now that I'm 30, 31 to be exact. And like I've done it. I work at a big studio. I live in a really nice, pleasant place. I have a beautiful woman, you know. And I always think about how do I discern what is the most important thing to me? Mm-hmm. And I always think about, well, a good way to discern what's really important to you is what would it be like at your deathbed and you only had one more minute to live? I know it's bleak, but it's Halloween. I want to scare you a little bit.
Yes, this is going to be the most terrifying podcast for us.
Oh, we're going to get so existential. This is more of a...
For Halloween.
For Halloween.
I mean, it's not what you expect.
It's not the type of fear.
Existential dread.
It's existential dread. So when I think about, like, if I had one more minute to live, what are my last thoughts in life? I would want it to be that I'm with you. And that's pretty much... And I'm with, like, I don't know, my brother. And, like, just people I really love and care about. I hope that they're there with me. And what I don't think about is money. What I don't think about is my position in the industry. What I don't think about is flexing on people, on whatever. You would tell me all the time about how you're worried about being alone for like 2 decades right before you croak.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if anybody else has this really morbid way of thinking about death that I do, but I have had several near-death experiences in my life. Not some of my own poor decision-making, like almost driving me and my best friend off a cliff once, but others because I just get sick, violently sick sometimes, and I almost die. But so like being that close to death, I genuinely believe death doesn't hurt. Even though it might seem like it, even if it seems like you're in a lot of pain, I think it hurts for other people witnessing it because it looks like you're in pain. Like when I had pneumonia, I was in the hospital. It looks like I was in a lot of pain.
But what did it feel like?
It didn't really feel like anything. I feel like when you're in that much discomfort, I think your body just goes numb and like takes over and doesn't allow you to really feel anything. That's my own theory, because I remember after I got better, the nurses were like, oh, it's so sad to see such a young girl like in that much pain and like coughing and all that stuff. And I remember like, I don't even remember most of it. I was so like about to die. But I am scared of the lead up to it.
And then thinking about the idea of like me passing away and then you alone, Janet, on top of a hill,
dying.
Yeah, all alone with like 9 cats.
Yeah. Especially because like when you say, I can already hear like the people who are like, oh, then that's why you have kids. I'm like, your kids aren't guaranteed to be there. Everyone dies alone. Like that's a fact of life. No matter what, when you die alone. Even if you're lucky enough to have your friends and family around you while you pass, you're still alone dying. You alone are dying.
You are experiencing the solitary experience of death.
Yeah, like no one but the Grim Reaper is there to like be with you. So, but like it was the first time you were like expressing that fear of like, I'm
it didn't dawn on me. Like, I guess up until we moved here that like, and I'm seeing a lot of the olds here. Yeah. They're really happy, really living it up. Really, like we have some neighbors who are retired and like they come at midnight, just hooting and hollering, just like enjoying life. And I go, right on. Because I think that's how it should be, you know. You bust your ass for your days of leisure, you know. I thought I had breast cancer last night. I thought I had breast cancer last night. Let me explain. So, I kind of finally get over this like heart palpitation, whatever the heck it was, problem. And I'm like really happy, like, oh yeah, I live again. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel this like soreness on like the bottom of my tit, like right here. Like right here.
Oh, you can really see it now.
Oh really? It's like a bruise, right?
Yeah, it looks like a bruise.
Like under my tit, and I was like, oh my god, this is it for me. So I'm like tossing and turning at night. And lately you've been going like, man, why is it really hard for me to fall asleep? Because I've been like stressing my ass off that like I woke up in the middle of the night last night, went up and then like just examined my under tit and then really felt, and I'm like, I can't feel what they described to be a lump, but why is it so painful? It feels like a level 1 kind of like bruise soreness. And then like I go back to bed and like the alarm rings that signifies that we're supposed to go to the gym. And then like I'm like, oh, should we go to the gym? And you're like, we're really tired. And you're like, no, let me sleep some more. So then like I just lie there and stare at the ceiling, and then I comb through like, what could it have been? What did I do yesterday? I bought another tape machine. In all technicality, I have 4. It's fucking pathetic. Okay, so but I found amazing TAC 25-2, I think is what you call it, master recording machine by a lovely couple here who just moved to Prescott. They were engineers. They were engineers, and they had this old tape machine with them. And then I needed to carry it from the car yesterday, and they're on the tape machine has this like rack rail around it, right? So it's basically this rail that attaches to a cabinet, so you can like screw it on, right? So I grab it and then nestle it right on my chest. You remember this, right? Yes. And I'm like hobbling because it's heavy. If you ever carried a tape machine, it's heavy, man. It's heavy. So like I plop it, and I suddenly remembered that, and I go like, oh yeah, that's what I think that's what it was. So then I tell you this morning, baby, look, I thought I had breast cancer. Look, but I think, look, because like the pain, I just realized when I just was like, I kept thinking like, is this a bruise? Is this a bruise, or is this bad news? And then I was like, oh, when I like press it, when I press the epidermis, yeah. When I press the skin, it's tender, like when you're bruised. Not like, I assume, like a lump when you have cancer. So then I'm telling you all of this, and you're face palming into oblivion.
I'm like, this is why it was so hard for me to fall asleep last night.
And I kept apologizing profusely. And I was like, every time, like what would help every time I thought I was going to die was like, I would like spoon you. But then like spooning you would wake you up. So then I would feel bad, and I'd like go on the other side. I'd turn over, and then I'd be like just overwhelmed with existential dread, and then I just kind of stew on it until like I stress fall asleep. I sometimes I wake up and I'm just like covered in sweat.
But
that is my life. You know what? Like I do I really believe I could quit whatever vices that I adore, but like the one vice that I can't quit is stressing out, man. I stress about like the stupidest shit, but I like it. I don't know if it's my imagination or what, but it really consumes me to the point where like, I don't know. I like, you read the definition of hypochondriac and like that's me. That's fucking me. Jesus.
The funniest thing that you said to me this morning was, I thought I was gonna die again. I thought I had breast cancer, and I was like, oh my god. And then I was like, that's not how breast cancer feels. I was like, I'm not sure you feel that kind of pain. You just check for lumps, and then that, like, the fact that you probably don't feel pain is probably why it goes undetected for so long. And I was just like, oh my god.
And then right now, I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally bruised. Like it kind of like you touch it a little bit, it's like bruised. So I think it's totally me carrying that stupid thing.
When you were explaining how.
This morning
yeah.
I was like, because I woke up and I felt bad, so I just got up and then I went and. You make fun of me for this, but I started to work.
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning.
I was like, what are you doing?
So I'm working, and then I got distracted, and I go, and like my mind just wanders, and I go, what's the average life expectancy for a Filipino male? So I look it up, and I go like, 71 years old. What kind of bullshit is this? I'm nearly halfway there now. What is this?
You're like, I'm definitely quitting at 35 or around.
Yeah, I right then and there I was like, oh, I'm quitting when I'm 35 for sure. I'm gonna invest my money and like retire early. I'm gonna enjoy the other half of my life while I still have it, man.
You're telling me like Filipinos men live till 71.
Yeah, so when I was telling you this, I was like, oh yeah, and then I think I'm okay, but then like I did all this research and Filipino men only live until they're 71.
And I like laugh, and I'm like, you're American.
And I was like, oh, was that for the Filipinos in the Philippines?
Like, yes. Oh my god.
But then like I subsequently looked at like every race, and like most of everyone in the world will, like, the average is like somewhere between 70 and 80.
Yes.
Which is nuts.
Yes.
Like you're very, very fortunate if you pass, like, if you make it to 80, I'd say.
Yeah.
Which is nuts, man. I'm like already 31, Jesus.
And I think like quarter life crises, and like I think that's why people are quiet quitting. Like I think
fear
of death.
Yes. Not my level, but probably just like a realization of mortality. Probably.
Yeah. It's quarter life crises because millennials have been working for long enough. Like millennials are basically like 40 to 30 at this point. And we've been working long enough to experience the long dick of work. And
very long.
And all the problems that come with it, and how much you're wasting your life. But then also like Gen Z are reaching quarter life crisis age, and the fact that all of us experienced COVID and death has just been on mind for the past few years. I think that's why everyone is quiet quitting. I think that's why everyone is just kind of coping with death being on the mind. And just, if not death, just the idea of like we're wasting our time, which is what quiet quitting is. It feels like you're wasting your time going above and beyond for an employer that will never appreciate you and stuff like that. And I just think a lot of people are feeling this. It almost like you've had your like quarter life crisis before. It feels like a new version. For you, it's almost like a midlife crisis.
Yeah, for this one, I felt like the midlife crisis.
Yeah,
like I'm up like I am. All things I don't like. I want to be like Murphy's Law again. Like if. Like, I'll be lucky to make it to 70. I'll be lucky to make it to 70. I'll be extremely lucky to make it past 70. Do you ever wake up in the morning after a long arduous night of wondering what the process of death would be like? When I have these types of mornings and I feel groggy, you know what makes me feel better and happy to be alive? Coffee brand coffee. Coffee brand coffee is really great coffee that gives me a nice, big, ripe kick in the booty and gets me really excited to work and makes my employers very, very, very happy with the results.
They have tea and coffee. For 5% off, enter code honeyandabsinthe at checkout, link down below for your coffee fix of the week. It helps this channel out. Please and thank you.
Enjoy your enema, people pleasers. But like all of this thinking about like, yo, this could be like how near it is. You know, I mean, it's not near, but it's just like how real it's becoming. That like, you know, I'm getting older and my body isn't as, I don't know, other than like these other things that I've been feeling, my body's, I'd say the best it's ever been.
Yeah, and yet you're feeling all these things.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about how it's kind of crazy that some people don't even realize this till they're about to retire.
Right.
That you're going to work most of your life till you're 65 at least. And then you retire for what, 10, 20 years, if that, of actual doing whatever it is you actually wanted to do. And I think everyone's realizing that all at the same time. Maybe people younger, people older, whatever. And then it's the reason why I felt like I really needed to quit when I did, because I was like, I'm wasting my life. Like you're lucky if you get all the way to 65 and to retire. Like some people don't even get there. You know, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed to live till you're 40, 50, 60, whatever. So I thought, like, it's kind of weird that we automatically think that we do. We all just assume that we do. And we live according to that lifestyle of like, oh, I'm going to work till I'm 65 and then I retire. And I had a new perspective on this too recently. I don't know why. I've been recommended doctor TikToks. All of a sudden, a lot of doctors have been making TikToks, and I've been recommended them for some reason. And this one doctor said that like everyone's pretty much gonna live till they're 85. There's at this point in time, for the most part, and there's no such thing as live fast, die young. Like, because the way things are going now, we're going to force you to live till you're 85, whether you like it or not.
So an example of live fast, die young, Rod Serling. Cigarettes and coffee and screenplays from the morning you wake up till the evening, and you're just constantly writing, never giving yourself a moment's rest. And then you croak.
Yes. But then he's like, we have the ability now to like
keep you alive.
Yes.
so
Whether
that
you like it or not.
Exactly. Keep doing it.
And my parents are like health freaks. I had really bad period cramps all my life, and they would not let me have any sort of painkiller up until I was an adult, and I can buy my own meds.
So what is that? That's like 5 years of doing it. What is it, like when you're 8? So you're 18? So that's like basically 5 years of just dealing with it without any painkillers. I started taking pain medication, like just ibuprofen or whatever, when I have pain, in my 20s. Jeez, that's what I mean. It's like a long time. Yeah. It's a long time. Of like monthly excruciating pain where I have to like punch a wall. So I have a deep fear of medicine and shots. And that kind of thing. So I've always run under the assumption of like Eastern medicine is the way, preventative over like you fix a problem when it comes up. So like it's about eating healthy, exercising, doing things to decrease inflammation and whatever. It's all the stuff that's like all the rage now all of a sudden. But like that has been Eastern medicine since the beginning of time. But Western medicine is like, oh, you have a pain, take medicine for it. You broke your leg, you pulled a muscle. You don't ask why all those things happen. You just fix it when it happens. Yeah. But like the problem is our medicine isn't advanced enough to completely quote unquote fix it. Like it helps make you slightly more comfortable maybe, but it's never really fixed. It's because you can't really fix something that's like broken like that. Safety. Sorry. Hold on. Oh God. This episode's off the rails.
Oh my god, that's...
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
That did absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry.
So what this doctor was saying was like, you're not exactly gonna have a great quality of life if you live fast, because you're not gonna die young. You're gonna live fast, die old, and probably in a lot of pain. Yeah. And I was like, geez, that makes my initial fear even worse. How are people dealing with this knowledge?
With their mortality?
Yeah.
It seems as though they try their best to travel a lot, to reorganize their priorities in life.
Yeah, they're quiet quitting.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
I think, for the most part, quiet quitters... people who think quiet quitters are lazy are I think mistaken. I think quiet quitters are just using the extra time to enjoy life. The extra time and care that is now available in their brains to enjoy life, hang out with families, shift priorities in their life to cope with their situation. Because I assume the Gen Zs and the millennials who are quiet quitting, I assume they are kind of trapped in the lifestyle that they have. I assume that they have a lot of debt, or I would argue that we're in a recession right now and it's really hard for people to find better jobs. A lot of people are legitimately just quitting. They're just like, I am so sick and tired of this bullshit, and I'm going to find a remote work job or a job that won't do this to me. Just a job with better benefits. Some people are quitting and then starting businesses, being like, well, I don't even want to be an employee anymore. I just want to run the show. Because if other people can abuse me, I can abuse me too, for myself. Yeah. And then there are people like me who was like, that's not good enough. I went the route of like, okay, I'm an employee. Fuck this shit. I'm going to start my own business. Maybe, I'm not sure. This is getting there, but it could be better. And I just like went and completely was like, I'm going to do an alternative lifestyle. I'm going to leave the city, live in a small town in a beautiful inspiring place, yeah, and live a different kind of life, a slow living kind of life. And I don't know if that's normal for people who are like searching for alternatives to their 9-to-5 rat race kind of life, but I think it might be the extreme. But crazy people like me will do it. They'll be like, well, if the 9-to-5 career thing wasn't working out, then what if I do the complete opposite, where I like farm or live sustainably or just live cheaply? It doesn't have to be that extreme. Some people do go that far. They're like van life and stuff. Right,
because when you have a, let's say, Silicon Valley job, you're paying for your lifestyle as well. Yeah. Say you work at Tempe and you're a tech person, and fucking the rent is going like more and more insane by the month. You pay for a really nice, expensive luxury apartment. You eat really nice food. But what if you just went somewhere smaller and you taught your tech whatever to whoever, and then you just kind of chilled out and went and got a beer every so often, watched the sunrise and sunset? You know, I mean, for a lot of people, that's passé and just like, ew, gross, it's romantic or whatever. But like, for a lot of people, that's kind of just like exactly what they need. Yeah. And for us, that's kind of exactly what we need right now.
I think for me, growing up basically in the city, I didn't know of any other kind of lifestyle. I wish I was taught different types of lifestyles I could live, you know? I was always like, there's like a path in life that is expected. You go to school, you graduate, you go to college, you graduate, you work really hard, and then you get your first job or whatever, and you work your way into a first like career job. something that pays really well and you make a lot of money, hopefully, you want to be more successful than your parents because that's what they want from you. And then you work till you die. That's the expected life that I was told. But actually, there are a lot of different types of lifestyles. You could live slowly, like I said. There's van life. There's you can live as a farmer. Like, what's wrong with that? People put down blue collar jobs, but I genuinely believe blue collar workers are happier than white collar workers, because I don't believe human beings are meant to
be in a cubicle
all day
long, just dreaming of retirement.
Yeah. I don't think we're meant to have dopamine shot up to our brains with social media every single moment. And
I don't think it's right for us to have stimulants every morning to make us hustle harder.
Yes, I also don't think it's normal to have like a 40-hour work week. Like, studies show that like most of us aren't productive for more than 4 hours a day anyways. So it just doesn't, what, you're gonna force us to sit there for 4 more hours a day in hopes of getting more?
Squeezing the lemon.
And studies show that the more vitamin D, the more sun you get, the more you're outside and being physical, the better you are. And it explains why people who work, who garden, and who do like hike and all that stuff feel so good all the time. And like, we as human beings are lacking in vitamin D, vitamin B, a lot of things that like, if we just went outside for more than like an hour,
solves the problem.
Yeah. And so like, at least for me, I started getting served a lot of like YouTube videos about people in the blue zone. And what this is like a place on planet Earth, like this expansive, like it includes several different types of countries where people tend to live like past 90.
Whoa.
Past like 100. And like, scientists go there to try to study why does everyone here live so long. They check diet, they check lifestyle, they check a lot of things. And the thing is, like, for the longest time, you probably heard like, oh, the Mediterranean diet is so healthy for you. Everyone should eat the Mediterranean diet.
Garlic.
It's like
garlic's good for your
paleo, basically.
Oh, paleo, yeah.
Or like, we should all eat like the Japanese, just eat like fish all the time. But like, and like no carbs, or like, because some countries have like no carbs, all meat, whatever. But then you look at like these countries as a whole, and they all have different diets. The Japanese eat a lot of rice, a lot of noodles. People like Italians in certain countries, they eat a lot of pasta, wine, all that stuff. And supposedly, like, all these things that are villainized, people will be like, don't eat carbs, don't eat this. But like, some people will eat carbs and they'll live till like they're 100, whatever. Yeah,
you've seen people strangely smoke cigarettes well into their like old age. It's very weird. I don't understand how that happens.
And I'm sure diet is part of it in some aspects, but I do think it's more lifestyle than anything. The one thing that is common all across the board is that these people aren't stressed out. They live a much slower lifestyle, and like, to me, that's something that I was like, well, I want to live till I'm like 115.
Making it really hard for me to be your partner, Jen. It's really hard for me to like will myself to be your partner for that long.
And I also want to live that long and still be able to like function. Like, I don't want to live that long and like
just be a vegetable.
Yeah,
right.
Like I want to be like these people in the blue zone where they're still chopping wood. They're like
playing Skyrim.
Well, probably not. They're like healthy.
Skyrim's not healthy?
They're outside and they're
not being sedentary.
Yes, they're doing things still. And like, that's one part of it. And then another part is like, I think they have purpose. A lot of them always say, well, like, when people tell me like, don't go outside and chop wood, you're too old, whatever, like, what are you talking about? I have to. My community, my family expects it of me. I have a duty, a responsibility to take care of them. This is what I do. This is what I do for them.
You see the people appreciate when they purchase your wood or whatever it is that you do, your tomatoes at the farmer's market, and they really enjoy it. Like, oh, I love your tomatoes. I put them in my lasagna. It's so good.
Yeah. And I think that's like incredibly important. Like, and in a weird way, like my family understands that too. Like they understand that when you're old, you have to keep the mind and the body working, both. Like have friends, communicate with people.
Your dad plays table tennis.
Yes.
He picked it up all of a sudden.
Really into it.
Super into it. Like I remember visiting LA, and then the first thing I hear is boonk, 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 boonk.
He plays with my mom.
It's okay.
But I thought like, okay, this is my plan. This is my plan for growing old. Especially like I'm in a lot of ways I am more prepared for death than you are. Because
I've never felt it. I've never felt. Maybe I'd have more peace of mind if I got the closest was getting alpha COVID, whatever the fuck it was called, in December 2019. Before I got COVID, before it was cool, I think.
Probably before tests were even a thing.
Yeah, before it was even a thing.
Yeah. To know. Yeah.
We were one of those, and like I remember making a deal with God that like, God, if I make it through this horrendous illness, I swear to God, I'll marry Janet. Just please, like, let me live. I didn't know what it was. I remember thinking like, this is the worst I've ever had. Whatever, man. I haven't felt that sick since I was a kid, man.
Yeah, I remember. I when I had it, I was like, yes, I remember what this is, what this feels like.
Death.
Yeah. Like, this feels like pneumonia, but not as bad. I'm not gonna die. I know what death feels like.
I wish I had that.
So you were just freaking out.
Yeah. But in a way, I kind of relate that like when I was having it really hard on those hard days, I remember it was just being delirious.
Yes.
Just like being on the Criterion channel, all the movies just like meshed into one black and white mess movie.
But yeah, because I'm almost like, I'm such a like logical person. I've planned it. I'm like, you're probably gonna die. Hopefully I'm going to force you to live till you're 80.
Janet's going to force me to live until my physical being cannot anymore.
I will not allow you to eat berries every single day. No. But you're probably going to die before me. It's probably just how it is going to be. And I'm probably going to live till I'm like 100. So I'm going to have like 20 plus years alone. Probably with no children, because no.
Would you remarry at 90?
Maybe, I don't know.
Would you date?
Maybe, I don't know.
Man, I hear old folks' homes, man.
I will not be in a home. I refuse. I think that's how you die.
Really?
Yes.
Really? But I thought that was like, it's community, and you need that as an old person.
I'll join a church or something.
Oh, okay.
Never been religious in my entire life.
Person,
yeah.
Better late than never.
I'll join for the friends.
For the Janet will join for the gram.
Yeah, I will not know how to do any of the things, and people will just think I'm
Do you know
old.
what a genuflect is?
What is that?
I can hear all the religious people laughing. Okay, continue.
A genuflect?
Yeah, a genuflect.
A genuflect.
Yes.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Look it up later.
Okay. Yes. And I'm like, I'm going to, even when I get ill, even when I get a stroke and I'm dying, I will continue to try my best to make art. I will probably stream on Twitch 2.0, 5.0, I don't know. I will do all the things.
Look at the carrots I beat everybody.
Yes. I will refuse to like just give up, because
that's the spirit.
I am convinced that is how you die.
When you give up.
Yes. When you just like do nothing. When you relax, I think, is the problem. And when you feel so.
Do you think you're gonna have all that ganas when you're that old?
Yes.
Okay. Jana's eye twitched when she said, like she means it. Jesus Christ. It was like an anime moment. Just glared at me. Okay, I believe you.
I was talking about why is it that the boomers and people like my parents never really felt this way, or at least growing up, I never really like experienced them feeling this way. They're always so intense about like working hard and me working hard and all that stuff until recently. And then I realized, I think it's two things. One, definitely COVID. They're like reaching retirement age. But since my parents are such intense savers, they were able to retire kind of early. And they retired during COVID because they worked basically customer service jobs at the post office. And for them, they were like really, really, really terrified of COVID. They were like, we're going to die. So they were like, I don't want to risk my life at the age of like 60, 65, whatever. So like they asked me, do you think we should retire? I'm like, you're asking me? If you have enough money, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I don't care. What do I care?
You would know more than me.
Yeah.
I don't know your situation.
All I said is, as long as you have enough money to, then go ahead. I don't care. Do what makes you happy.
Ask the eldest daughter for counsel.
So they retired, and I've never seen them like this. They have.
Okay, I want to describe this because I'm the outsider, right? So I first date Janet, like Janet's parents gripe, like however, like you know, like when you're growing up and your parents just like fucking get on each other's nerves, and like your dad's complaining about your mom's cooking and your mom's complaining about your dad being mean or whatever. There's always like some bickering going on in your family when I first started dating you. And then things got really heavy when you graduated and like you were trying really, really hard to get a job, and it was really like heavy.
Yes.
And then we kind of did our own thing, and then moved out, started becoming more independent. And then we couldn't visit your family during COVID. This is for a long time. But when we did, it was crazy. Like, for sure, I've never seen your parents more happy than they are now that they're not working. And now that, like, especially when, like, it's just the two of them in the house, like, when they only have each other, they seem, like, so happy and chipper. My favorite memory of your parents is, like, when, I think it was was it your mom on the roof?
It was my dad.
Yeah, your dad was on the roof of the garage, just picking, what are those fruits?
They're pomelos.
Just gigantic, juicy, big pomelo. Yes. Janet's parents have this huge pomelo tree.
They planted it when I was little.
And then like just like a factory, like a Mr. Game & Watch. Like he would go pick your dad would pick the pomelo and then like toss it to your mom down below, and your mom would like do this perfect catch, like and then she'd put it in like the basket, and then like it would just like go on and on and on, and then your dad would like hiya, and like they were like doing like, oh, you got it, and you're like, oh, I got it, and it was just
so
like,
happy,
and I was just like, oh my god, like, man, like there are some silver linings to COVID, man. There are some like people have really kind of just like understood what their priorities are, and that was like the example that I think of the most, that like your parents have found each other in their older age, man.
My parents almost got a divorce when we were little, but like my parents are so old-fashioned that they stayed together for us, not for each other. They hate each other for the longest time. So like they used to have like these like huge arguments about money, about everything, and they've always been really stressed out.
Yeah, your dad always seems like he's like me. I think we share a lot of similarities. Like we're always stressed out about nonsense. Nonsense.
So like they put a lot of pressure on me growing up to be successful, all that stuff, and it was not. We did not have the best relationship growing up, and like when I graduated, I like cut them off for the longest time because we really did not have a good relationship during that time. But then like I forgive them for like they were trying to do their best for me. The only way they knew how. And it's like the first time I saw them like love each other for the first time, and like
in your entire life,
in my entire life, in my
first
entire
time
life.
Janet has ever seen her parents love each other in her entire life. It's amazing.
And they were like being true like country bumpkins, man.
Passing around Pamelas.
Truly where I get it from. I'm just so happy to like harvest the fruits of their probably like that tree is as old as I am. That 30-year-old tree making like
fat ass Pamelas, man.
It's just they're so happy. And so like I think they experienced like, well, I'm gonna die like in their 60s, and like all we have left, our children have flown the coop, and
they're happy, and it's
all
like we're just overbearing to them every time we intrude, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So best leave them be.
And then at the exact same time, like my grandparents are getting old. Most of them are fine. Most of them like really healthy, but one of them has always had like they were always in and out of the hospital, and like. At this point, like, I feel like my parents are, like, expecting the worst because, like, she's getting up there in age, and she's not very healthy. And I think I just witnessed my parents kind of coping with death, the ugly reality of it, and how long it takes. And the stuff that you don't think of when you're young, that happens. Just like this, the best way I can explain it is like you need to watch the movie Amour, because it really.
Now that's a horror movie, man.
Yes, it goes into the nitty-gritty,
dirty details
of what it is to grow old and then eventually die, and like it's. Not pretty. And I think for me, witnessing it too, it helped me cope with my fear of death a little bit too, because I'm like, well, it's scary, it's terrifying, but at least I know what's gonna happen. I know what is in store for me when I turn 100 and I have a stroke, and the stroke doesn't kill me, and then
you're just lying there.
Yeah. Just slowly dying.
Yeah.
And like there's a line in that movie where like that they say like, what do you think this is? It just gets worse and worse, and then you die. And I'm like, yep. I don't know what other movies have sold death to us before, but that is the
Amour is the god tier movie about death.
Yes.
Like that's Haneke's arguably like his opus.
Yeah.
God, Amour is so good. It's gut punching, man.
It's hard to watch.
It's really hard to watch.
And I think like it puts things into perspective, like what matters to us now that we're older, or at least for my parents now that they're. I can't believe because I can't believe it took my parents 60 years
to fall in love
to figure this out.
Yeah,
and to like be easier on me, and to just. They have never once been asked me to like chill out. In all of my life. Until
when Janet was at Art Center, they're like, work harder. When Janet graduated Art Center, work harder to get a job. So when you finally got a job, what happened?
It wasn't until I was working at Disney. They were like, you need to not work so hard. I was like, you're telling me this now.
This is all I know.
You made me this way.
This is all I know.
Where was this level of care all of my life? But yeah, they're like, I think what it is, like when I really think about it, is they didn't, like this is, their rationale was like, we're gonna make her into a machine, and we're gonna make her work really hard, and tell her like you will relax later. I'm like queen of delayed gratification. You're gonna enjoy the fruits of your labor one day. When will that be? I don't know. But like, you are going to work hard now so you can enjoy it later. So I did. And I worked really hard. I worked myself to the bone in college. I worked myself to the bone at work. And then they were like, okay, you can stop now. And I was like, what do you mean? There is no stopping. What are you talking about? This machine doesn't stop. And it was then that they were finally like worried for me. But yeah, I think all of us collectively, I think, are realizing now that like our priorities are changing. Our priorities when we're younger are completely different from when you realize these things. It could be now. For us, it's like 30s, late 20s. For my parents, probably like 60s. For most boomers, probably like 60s. But
the Gen Xers are still in it, man.
Yeah, I will work harder.
I will work harder. Fucking, what's his name?
Boxer
from Animal Farm. I will work harder. I am a Gen Xer. I will work harder.
So what was it that you wanted when you were younger? That you thought what you would be thinking about on your deathbed?
What I wanted when I was younger... It's like... You think about like how many people you want there at your deathbed or at your funeral, and when you're younger, you think like you want like a lot. You think you want like, or at least I did, like, oh, I want to have moved and touched so many people and so like a whole memorial and all that stuff. But then you get older and you realize like, no, you only just like want like 1, 2, 3, 4, just like a small handful of people there, because. As you get older, there's just like the people who matter really solidify. Well,
did you want money or glory when you were younger, before you die?
Oh, before I died, I guess I wanted money, a lot of money, but I never imagined in my future to be like mansion wealthy. So I knew that wasn't in the cards, but like, you know, as a people pleaser, I want to be liked. I want to be like, you know, it's not really about like. Especially a Hollywood person, it's not really about the money. It's about like how many people look up to me. But now that that's kind of like how I approached it. Like, oh, that would make me happy. So silly. But when I think about it now, I go like, that's not gonna make me happy. I would feel lonely.
I wanted money. I wanted money and glory.
I didn't want money and glory that badly, man. I wanted to be liked. I think that's what it is. I think it's the difference. You never gave a shit about being liked.
I knew that was impossible for me. I wanted... To me, money and glory were the same thing at the time when I was younger. I wanted to...
What's glory? Glory isn't glory adulation, or glory? Is it an accomplishment type of glory? What type of glory?
Yeah, like I guess I wanted adulation, respect, probably. I wanted to have done really crazy things that I could be proud of and other people could be envious of, or could say like, oh, you really were able to do something crazy, make a mark on the world, all that stuff. And then now it's still kind of similar, but like extremely different at the same time. I no longer associate money with doing something great anymore. Like, I think you can do something great and not get any money for it. And my idea of doing something great now is more like doing something meaningful to somebody. Before, it used to be like, I want to direct an Oscar-winning movie and be known for it for the end of time, like Kubrick, like Scorsese, like whatever. And like long after I'm dead, people will still know my name. Like that's what I correlated to doing something great. Now it's more like, well, meaningful could mean like I impacted one person's life in a really big way. Meaningful is also like meaningful to me as well. So like it could just be simply like you, like impacting your life in a really good way, or a very, very, like you said, like a small community of people that you care about, and having them actually care when you die. it's not like, because I think about like the blue zone people, my sense of purpose now could simply be I provide wood for my little community.
You do something simple,
yeah,
but they appreciate you a lot for it.
Yeah. And I think that's so much healthier, because like I think that's when people actually do something that does make a difference. I always roll my eyes when I hear men usually go like, well, I want to leave this earth having made a difference or done something. It just sounds like typical man pride legacy bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a choice whether you are an Elon Musk or not, you know. But you do have a choice in your immediate surrounding, like people that you care about, and you can still have purpose and still have like affect people without being an Elon Musk. I think it's selfish for men in particular, but women too. I mean, there are a lot of like strong women.
It's sort
out
of
there.
like a basic human like surface level thing to desire when you really don't think about it as much as we do, to like what I want is to like leave behind something so I'm remembered forever. But like we said before, what Gen Z knows Miles Davis? You know,
Yeah.
like you're gonna be forgotten no matter what you do. And like you sure, like there are gonna be the core people, the jazz people, the you know, the musicians who like know will find you and discover you. But at the end of the day, like we all turn into dust eventually,
Yeah.
as the old adage goes.
And the saying goes, you die twice.
Yeah, the cocoa thing, you know.
Yeah,
basically.
That's if you what the saying is, you actually die, and then you die twice when everyone you know forgets you. Yeah. Well, how do you how do you want to die now that you've had your weird breast cancer scare and
how I want to die now?
Scare.
I want to die making sure I give Marvel a lot of shit, right? We love taking a fat shit on Marvel, right? One of my favorite moments in Endgame is when is it Endgame? Endgame's the last one,
I think so.
And turned to shit after.
Yeah.
When Tony dies, and he goes like, "Oh, I need to do." I think I've only seen it once, but I remember it impacted me. Going like, he went like, "Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that." Right? And then they were basically like, all of his friend buddies were like, "Oh, you did enough.
Yeah.
The fuck, you're
Like,
Tony
chill.
Stark." And like anybody who's like creatively minded, that's kind of like
That's how we
that's
feel.
the struggle for us. It's like it's always going to be for us, did we do enough? And like, oh, you work there. Oh, you've done this. You've accomplished this. You did YouTube. And no, it's not. It's never gonna be enough for us. But I can only hope that at the end of all things, I can feel at least somewhat just comfortable that I didn't waste my life. That would be nice. And number 2 is to have you with me, making sure that you're beside me, and making sure that like, I remember telling you that this morning when we were doing the show notes that like, I worry in my last minute of death that I'm just going to apologize to you profusely for not being able to make it longer than however long I've made it. And I feel bad. I feel like I think it used to be what I'd fear most is the process of dying. But now I'm starting to become really, really afraid of simply leaving you alone for that long.
I don't know what to say after this.
I don't know. I don't want to be like too emotional. That's just what I remember talking. I remember crying myself, going like, I remember saying, I don't care about my job. I don't care about like what we do. It's everything is just facilitating the last moments I have with you.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about at this point. That like all this ridiculous all these hypochondriac episodes like just solidified and just made it super clear what I want at the end of this fucking thing that we're all doing.
Yeah, I think ever since I felt this way about all this stuff, I haven't been able to take anything very seriously because all I keep
like when Tim Pool talks about Civil War.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm dying.
I'm dying
We're
slowly.
all dying. We're almost there.
I can't care. There's only so much care in me, and I can't care that much about politics anymore. I can't care that much about career and money and just things that just don't matter. They don't matter when we are slowly dying and people act as if we're not, and that tomorrow is guaranteed and all that stuff. I just don't get it. But at the same time, it's very easy to get really nihilistic.
Oh yeah.
And I guess that's where we're well, I still want to do something meaningful. I still want to have a purpose. When I by the time I die, I will be Tony Stark and I didn't do enough. I think that's healthy, actually.
To feel that at the end of all things.
Yeah.
Even though you kind of just did.
You just saved the world.
Everybody would be like, you did it if you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
I think that's normal. I actually think that's normal. What's not normal is whenever I have a near-death experience and I go this is fine. If this is my time, well, no regrets. Because that's genuinely how I feel most of the time whenever I have a near-death experience, which I don't know if that's normal or not. This episode, we are recommending you watch Amour by Haneke. It's a Oscar-winning foreign film. It's
by one of our favorite directors.
French, even though he's Austrian, I think. Yeah. But it's a fantastic movie about this exact
topic.
And we recently put out a Halloween top horror movie list that if you want to get to know me with horror movies, you should watch these movies. But even though Amour isn't technically considered a horror movie, it is considered a horror movie to me.
It's a horrifying movie.
It's terrifying.
Beautifully shot and told, though. We hope we haven't scared you too much. We hope you have a really good Halloween. Stay safe, enjoy life,
party
hard, and get slutty.
Oh yeah!
Woo!
Oh my god! It's the Mean Girls thing.
It's the Mean Girls thing.
I think it's Mean Girls. It's your
Mean Girls, yeah.
It's your one day to be unapologetically slutty, and we're all here for it.
Yeah, man.
Subscribe, check out all our other episodes here, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.